Hi, this is Judd Apatow on Letterboxd, and it is the 20th anniversary of The 40-Year-Old Virgin, a movie I directed and co-wrote with Steve Carell, and right now we are going to read and comment on some of your reviews. Zay gives it 5 stars. This movie actually made me want to get a job at Best Buy years ago. The place they worked at in this film was called Smart Tech, and it looked very similar to Circuit City, yet it made me want to apply to Best Buy. So I did work there for 2 sets of 2 years. Never met a 40-year-old virgin while there, but I had a lot of fun, at least. I'm glad that we set you on a path in your career where you got to work in a stereo store. Like in Boogie Nights. Remember they worked at the stereo store in Boogie Nights? My friend Joel Madison always talked about working in a stereo store, so I thought this would be a fun place for him to work because there's a lot of people walking through, a lot of women that he should be asking out that he's afraid to, and he can hide in the stockroom. Smart Tech should exist. I hope someone took the name and made it real.
So I'll write you up and I'll meet you over at the register.
Okay.
Check you out. Check out.
Okay.
Valerie gives it 1.5 stars. Ouch, Valerie. And writes, the funniest part of the movie was when they showed an Everybody Loves Raymond clip. Well, that's just vicious. So you watched the whole movie. You only liked one reference to Everybody Loves Raymond. And you just wanted to hurt me. And you did. Valerie, you did. Kane gives it 3.5 stars and writes, why did it turn into Midsommar at the end? I've never seen Midsommar, so I don't know what that means, but I assume there's a dance at the end, and they stole it from us. So yes, we influenced Midsommar. I didn't know that they did this in Indian films, that they would have big dance numbers throughout. We were trying to figure out how to end the movie. Shannon kept telling us that we needed to show the sex. He thought, you need to show that their sex is good because they're in love and their friend's sex is bad because they don't have that love. And we couldn't figure out how to show it. And I kept saying to Steve, Gary says we got to show the sex. And then one day he said, maybe I should just sing a song. And I said, what about Let the Sun Shine In from Hair? And then we were off to the races. But in terms of what it looks like, I think our production designer and our choreographer, they gave it a little bit of that flair, that Indian dance number flair. That was not from me. I was not smart enough to think of that. Darryl gives it 5 stars. I like Darryl better than Valerie. And writes, the 40-year-old virgin is crude and raunchy, but with a story that has a lot of heart to it. And the elements are blended perfectly together. It's highly quotable, hilariously funny, and the waxing scene is gold. It's slowly becoming a comfort film for me, and one of the funniest comedies I've ever seen. I think it's good it's a comfort film for you. I just read an article that said people need a comfort film and TV, things they watch over and over again, because it literally calms your nervous system when you watch things over and over again, because they're predictable, and you can rely on them. And Darryl, you can rely on us. So if you want to watch it every day, I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's weird at all.
Go get him, Tiger.
Jana gives it 1 star and writes, I need to save every woman in this. Well, aren't you sure what it means, Jana? Jana, you don't get it. You don't get it, Jana. And there's no way I ever could explain it to you because you're just thick. Jana, you're thick. Leo gives the 40-year-old virgin 4 stars and writes, Judd Apatow wants to dive deep into this man's mindset, so he becomes more than just a sad white guy who thinks boobs feel like bags of sand. He lets Carell and his companion revel in the cliches of modern relationships and sexuality to poke fun at the many misconceptions and simultaneously build a likable and relatable character with it. And you know what I say about that, Leo? I'm going to give you the phone number of Jana. Jana doesn't get it and needs to talk to Leo. Gabby gives it 3 stars and writes, Paul Rudd trying not to laugh and the waxing scene is cinema at its finest, which is just real. Steve Carell thought of the idea of the waxing scene. We wanted to do some sort of a makeover, and Steve said, what if you wax me? And he said it like he'd never been waxed. Later, I realized that he had waxed before, but he sold it like, I wonder what that would be like. But he was lying. He was a full-time waxer. So we got an actress who said that she was a professional waxer also. But on the set, it became clear she did not know how to wax, and she could have ripped his nipples right off.
Don't nipple fuck!
And we had 5 cameras, and we just waxed them. And Seth Rogen had a big list of filthy things for him to say. and we got some clean ones, some dirty ones, and we just felt it out as it went, and Paul was laughing, and Romany got scared and disgusted and ran out, and that's just what happened. Tancel123 gives half a star and writes, who the fuck watched this and laughed? Probably virgins. Tancel, we need to get you into therapy. Are you 5 years old, or are you like a 50-year-old strange man? I don't know what is wrong with you. You know how there's always ads on the internet for all these like therapists? Use it. Mads gives 5 stars and writes, the story was funny but also important because adult virgins never really are portrayed in movies. I related to many of Andy's worries and insecurities, probably because I'm 21 and women are confusing. I'm not a virgin though, and it was enjoyable to follow him in his search for love while at the same time being pressured by society into trying to lose his virginity. Thank you, Mads, for understanding the way that other people like Tancel don't. Michael writes, what's funnier than seeing a guy with an erection pee all over himself? Nothing. Michael, that's what me and Steve thought. We just thought we haven't seen enough of men with erections. You can't push them down to get the trajectory to pee in the toilet, and occasionally pops up and you pee in your own face. Carter gives 1.5 stars and writes, low effort scene slapped together with no rhyme or reason, no string of continuity whatsoever, cinematic equivalent of chimp clapping cymbals. I'm tired. Fuck this. Carter, I know you have 3rd grade tomorrow, and you had homework and you're working on your vowels, and so you're stressed about that. So maybe watch it again after you've had a little nappy.
What my problem is, I am not interesting.
Silent J gives 5 stars and writes, Steve Carell not only gives a star-making pitch-perfect performance that makes the film so funny, but I can't imagine anyone else in the role. As perfect as he is, it's also the fantastic and hilarious supporting turns from the likes of Catherine Keener, Jane Lynch, Leslie Mann, and many others who make this so enjoyable. Silent J, I agree with you that the supporting players are a giant part of why the movie works. I had never met Jane Lynch before when Steve and I auditioned her, and she improvised the vast majority of what she did. I don't take credit for it. I've got a writing credit with Steve, but Jane riffed her brains out and couldn't have been funnier. Catherine Keener, what a gift. We were looking for somebody, and Steve said, you know, I love Catherine Keener. And then we said to Catherine Keener, do you know who Steve is? And shockingly, at that point, she said yes. And she's like, I love that guy. And that's why they are great together in the movie, because they both had a lot of respect for each other. There was true chemistry there. And Leslie Mann as the drunk Nicky. That's a cinematic masterpiece.
You're not looking at me.
Yes, you're pretty.
You're not looking at
Yes,
me.
you're pretty.
Do you think I'm pretty? Well, look at me.
Paul gives 3 stars and writes, some of these jokes should be thrown in a time capsule, locked in a safe, and launched into space. Some are still extremely hilarious. Possibly the worst edited movie ever. Well, you know what? You laughed, didn't you? You know why? It's called editing. It's called timing. All right? So watch your mouth. Jerry gives 3 stars and writes, forget virgin, those of us who can't drive are the real oppressed class. Andy went 40 years without getting laid and still got more shit for riding a bike. We can't win. I don't know if I've ever really thought about people who don't drive and how hard their lives are and the obstacles to intimacy it creates. And I'm going to think on it more. I'm going to give you a little more of my time, and maybe I'm going to donate to a charity that supports you. Nancy gives 2.5 stars and writes, this was a decent movie. I just wish they'd chosen a better font than Times New Roman for the opening credits. I'm going to have to think about that. That might be solid criticism, and you might be right. Demetrius gives 4 stars and writes, it's a funny, refreshing take on a traditional story about a man surrounded by toxicity, and despite what he's told, find someone who loves him for who he is. Also, without the need for any sudden transformation. You know, that's true. It wasn't sudden. It was a slow transformation, the way life works, right? Like you see, he's doing better at his job. Suddenly, they're giving him some shifts as a floor manager. He's beginning to get it. This is what I learned from studying Sid Field, the screenwriting guru who taught me at USC. He's no longer with us, but you know where he is? In my mind. Adilche, or Idilce, I'll say Adilche, gives a half a star and writes, first time seeing a manic pixie dream grandma. You know what? That's pretty funny. I'm going to give that to you. That is pretty funny. Seymour gives 4 stars and writes, Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen almost kissed like 3 times. I can't fight that. You can see that on the screen. There's a magnet that's pulling them together, and they fought it. But we know. We know why that was funny, right? We know why that scene was funny.
You know how I know that you're gay? How? You have a rainbow bumper sticker on your car that says, I love it when balls are in my face.
That's gay?
King gives 3 stars and writes, not really a fan of this type of comedy, nor Judd Apatow's directorial skills. But there's no denying that Steve Carell is perfect as the lead role in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. He fits into that innocent, inexperienced, slightly insecure persona all too well. What an act! ! His performance compensated for the jokes being like a UFO, because not one landed. Here's a little advice to you, King. You can't tell people their jokes are bad while saying the worst joke ever, because then you lose credibility as a joke criticizer. Quinton gives 3.5 stars and writes, I still remember being an 18-year-old virgin that worked in retail and loved Survivor, who was watching a 40-year-old virgin that worked in retail and loved Survivor. I related to this movie a lot in high school. I remember looking in the mirror with a Survivor buff on my head as I asked myself, am I going to be a 40-year-old virgin? Well, as a Survivor fan myself, let me say this. Him being a fan of Survivor was a symbol that there was an incredibly cool guy in there, right? So there were some things that were symbols that he also was kind of weird, and he had his own toys, and he listened to Asia. But Survivor was the way we told you that down deep, there was a very cool man waiting to explode out of him.
The tribe has spoken.
From Josh. Josh gives it 4 stars and writes, The 40-Year-Old Virgin shepherded in a whole new generation of R-rated comedies in the mid-2000s, but I think what really helps the film stand out from the pack is just how it's able to balance a lot of that required raunch with genuine heart. Josh, that is correct. What we were trying to do was a combination between big, broad comedies and James Brooks, Cameron Crowe type of comedies. Can you be big and emotional? Can you be wildly broad, but then also real? Can all these things exist in the same movie? That's what we were trying to do. And for some people, it worked, just not Tansel. Well, that's it. I'm Judd Apatow. Go see The 40-Year-Old Virgin because it's being released in movie theaters. Trainwreck is also for their 20th and 10th anniversary. Why don't you go laugh with other people? It'll make you feel better.